So today we're talking about the subject of chatbots, but more so really just kind of what's going on in the world of chatbots. So these three particular articles point out stuff from the rise of embracing chatbots to exactly some of the things people are dealing with in terms of chatbot implementation. And Derek is going to walk us through some of this back and forth so we can get a little more hands-on. I visited with Derek last week, and kind of gave me a little bit of an education here on guided versus free-form, personalities. Who thinks of a chatbot as having a personality? But indeed they do, and he's going to give you some ideas. Is it a sales environment? Is it a support environment? And then, of course, at what point does the human jump in? How do you hand it off? That kind of stuff. So we got putting our heads together, and Derek suggested that he gives some examples of some of the things that people are doing with chatbots to get some conversation going back and forth. What did you think about that? Is that the way you've tackled it? Is that completely inappropriate for your environment? I mean, we have healthcare companies, financial services companies, public utilities on the call today, banking. I'm sure there's a wide array of what's appropriate in your environment. So we want to bring some of that to the surface, and we'll do it a little differently today. Again, that doesn't mean we don't want your opinion. Of course, this is a group discussion, video's open as we record everything and want to share. So this is serious Derek. You will not be seeing him today. You'll see fun-loving Derek. Cognigy is the organization that Derek is the VP of Technology for. This is from his profile on our website. And I know he looks scary. And I don't mean to, for those of you who did participated in our webinar in December on conversational AI with Derek, you realize he's really a fun guy. So I'm really giving him a hard time here because I really want to make it challenging as he steps into control here. But Derek, thank you for taking time with us today. Thanks for kind of the approach that you suggested, because I think it'll be a fun one. So turning it over to you.
All right, thank you. And immediately after this, I'm going to find another profile picture where maybe I look less tragically serious. But yeah, I love this format, and as David was saying, let's keep it conversational here. But as with many things in life, sometimes we get in the thick of things and don't have a chance to step back and reflect and take a higher level view of how we could do things better. And I wanted to take this opportunity today to just brainstorm, independent of any projects that might be on your plate or anything you might have done or be doing, of just kind of what are different facets of chatbot experiences that can be created. How can we think about them? What are the different dimensions we want to look at? What do we like and what do we dislike? I hear different things about chatbots being in this line of business. Some people is like, oh, I hate chatbots. I hate voice bots. I just want to talk to a human. And I hear some people say, hey, I interacted with a chatbot the other day and it was actually really helpful. So there's a whole spectrum of things. And one of the things I wanted to look at today is like, okay, what makes that good experience? And maybe what makes a bad experience too? And just taking some living examples as talking points. I'll put the caveat, if any of the examples I show today are from your company, it's we're not here to pick on you, because I think actually these are all good examples. So hopefully it will come off as praise and congratulations on your hard work. But to get started here, I want to just kind of highlight, just kind of set the listening. So as we look at these examples, you'll have some ideas in your head about like, okay, what are things I should be looking for? And then we'll talk about it. But the first one here is chatbots can be guided or freeform, and we'll look at different examples of these. So what a guided one is where it's either just kind of a linear, we're going to ask you this series of 5 questions and give you some information, or we're just going to present some buttons, and instead of typing or talking, you're just going to click on buttons. And those are 2 different options that people can have. In the industry, sometimes the guided ones are diminished and called clickbots because there's no natural language understanding built into them. But I think guided chatbots are fine and good and can sometimes be better than freeform chatbots. We can talk about that a bit as well. The next point I wanted to raise is the bot personality. this is another thing which I kind of think, a number of years ago when chatbots and voice bots started becoming more mainstream, a lot of thought was given into what is the identity and personality we want to have for our bot so that our users can experience a virtual identity rather than just kind of a back and forth text exchange. We'll see some examples of that today, and we can talk about how important we think it is in terms of creating the experience. You'll see today examples of both informational and transactional chatbots. Over chatbot projects, it's very common to say, hey, phase one is effectively, we're going to take our FAQs or our knowledge base and put a conversational interface in front of it. And that is perfectly fine, because if you can help people get their questions answered quickly without having to pick up the phone and make a phone call, then why not do that? Even if the information is already in your knowledge base or on a portal somewhere, sometimes people just want to find an answer by asking a question. That's a good way to do it. In that phase two and phase three, projects often evolve into more transactional examples. So not just how can I get information, but how can I get something done? And that can be anything from retrieving information, like saying, what's my order status? What's my account balance? Or it can be actually executing things like I need to make a payment or I need to set up a payment plan. So we'll look at examples of those as well. One interesting feature I don't see a lot, but I'll show you an example of today is co-browsing. And that's the idea that this would be in a web page scenario, so most likely on a desktop example, where people might be either filling out a form and being in dialogue with a chatbot about the form that they're filling out, or it could be that they're interacting with the chatbot, and instead of the chatbot just giving them links to some page, to a page that has the information they need, it can actually take them there and then continue the dialogue about the user experience. So we'll see an example of that today, and you can let me know what you think about it. For the next point is really just audience thing. We'll see one example. Actually, a lot of these are both sales and support combined, but it's just to note that you can have purely kind of sales and marketing driven bots. You have purely customer service bots. And I think most of the ones we'll see, except for the first one, will be a little combination of both. This is a point about how do you engage people with the bot? And it's interesting at this point in time, there's some fatigue I sense of the chatbot being in the lower right corner of the website saying, how can I help you? It's a common approach to get people's attention, not necessarily a bad one, but we'll look at some different ways that people are approaching the engagement with users. We'll, depending on what market you're in the US, often it's a primarily English speaking market, but there's definitely tons of a need for multilingual interfaces, especially in healthcare and in banking, in utilities, and anytime you're trying to reach an audience that might have a diverse number of languages they speak, that's something you need to think about in your chatbot as well. And then the last talking point I'll have is the topic of human handover. So does the chatbot transition to a person? Do we give that avenue for someone? And if so, how does that transition occur? Is it going to be through a live interaction? Is it going to be through chat? Is it going to be through a voice interaction that can be escalated to phone? How does that human handover work? And how easy and obvious is it to access that? So that just kind of sets the stage for what I'm about to show you. So we'll look at some examples, and I'll show you an example. I'll share some of my observations, and then we'll turn over to you guys to give feedback on it.